So Go-Go Power Rangers issue number 12 is the wrap-up of the Shattered Grid arc in the Go-Go Power Ranger comics, and although I felt like it was a bit rushed, it had a lot of good moments, but like I said earlier, a lot of plot points felt rushed and wrapped up too quickly that were wrapped up in a page or two. So we'll get into the review right now and talk about it, so let's start the review. Now the issue opens up in the future, and this will be the last time we'll have an issue opening up in the future where we see World of the Coinless Kim taking on Drakon, and that's kind of where this issue kind of ends up and where it concludes, where you see Kimberly taking on the Red Sentry soldiers, making ease with them. It's really cool. You see them with the cracked helmets, she's knocked out a few, she's smacking one with a bow, she looks like she's taken a lot of damage, it's drawn really well, she's a bit bloody and it's really cool. And she has this really cool line saying these guys aren't rangers, and she comes face to face with Drakon, and as she fires her bow, Drakon really gets down to business because he does offer her and say, hey, why don't you join me? And as she fires her bow, Drakon does this really cool spell because he goes, Rita taught me a few things, and he says obey, and you see this really cool hexagon prism thing, and it blasts Kim, and as you scroll down on the next panel, she's got green eyes, so we've got a green with evil Kim in a way, and that's how she gets the Bowl of Darkness. And the final, World of the Coinless flash forward, or whatever you want to call it, ends with Drakon saying, you'll be the most powerful weapon in my arsenal, Kimberly, my Ranger Slayer. And that's where this flashback, or this flash forward, ends. And this was a really cool thing where we knew where it was going to go, we just didn't know how it would happen. And I'm not going to say I found it anticlimactic where Drakon just easily wiped the floor and did one spell and she's under the control. I thought there'd be a lot more to it, and we're going to see a lot of them interacting, but it's pretty much he's under her control, and he's been slaying rangers and probably doing a lot more in that future timeline since we've seen Drakon, so God knows what's going on with them. But either way, it was a really cool panel of how it was drawn, and we got a conclusion to the Flash Forward series in Shattered Grid. We then cut to the present day in Jason's household, where Jason has his mama and his dad sitting down, and they want to talk about what's been going on with Jason's dad. Now, if you can't remember, Jason's dad had some sort of sickness, and he was kind of hiding it from the family, and Jason gives his dad this big speech that Zordon says, saying, it's not a burden for us to know that you're sad or sick or scared, Dad. That's what family is for. I get you grew up differently, respect privacy and not needing anyone, but this is life and death. And Jason's dad kind of responds with, and you're the expert, huh? You're 15, Jason. And then Jason responds with, yeah, a pretty smart guy told me that if you love someone, do what's best for them, even when they'll hate you for it. And although Jason's dad's response was kind of a dick move and kind of not a nice thing to say, it would be anyone or any adult saying to any kind of kid, you're a kid, you don't know what's best for me, you're kind of acting like an adult too soon. It's kind of like he was talking down to him, but not talking down to him too rudely. But I'm pretty sure that anyone would say in this kind of situation that if you've been a kid and you've tried talking to an adult like that, they'd probably say the same thing to you. And I'm sure if you're older, you've probably said that to a kid or two. But anyways, they wrap up the whole Jason's dad being sick thing, or him confronting his family in this issue. And although I feel like it was wrapped up too quickly in one page, we could have spent maybe another page on it. I understand that Ryan's got to crunch for time and stuff like that with what's going on in this issue. I feel like this isn't over, and we're going to see Jason's dad probably recovering in the hospital, but the part of him confronting his family about the sickness, that part is over. But I feel like this is not over yet with Jason and his family talking about his dad's sickness. I hope we do revisit it in the future, and we'll see what happens eventually. We then pick up with the issue last left off, where World of the Coinless Kim had knocked out Billy, and as she's saying, don't worry Billy, someone will come and find you soon, things get a little bit too soon where the real Kimberly, or this world's Kimberly, walks in, and seeing that the situation looks bad, where I do like the line that World of the Coinless Kimberly says, where I know it looks like I beat up Billy, which I did do, I'll technically admit that, but as she says that, our Kimberly morphs and she's prepared to fight, and World of the Coinless Kimberly just wants to talk, and she has this really cool speech saying, I've got to do something important for the best of us. What are you going to do? Are you going to fight me and get yourself beaten up again, or are you gonna go out there and save people because you know that you can't beat me? And she comes to her senses and lets World of the Coinless Kimberly do what she needs to do. And this is where the issue gets really cool and stuff goes down really awesomely. But as World of the Coinless Kimberly comes up, teleports away, she always says, "I always knew you were the smart one, take care of yourself." And as that happens, stuff gets real because they are monsters attacking that we saw last week, the Armadillo Man and the Lobster Guy. And as this is going on, Matt is texting everyone. He's saying, "There's monsters out there, did you see what's going on?" And this is Matt being Matt, where he wants to jump into battle and try and save everyone, because Matt thinks he's some sort of major, he thinks he's like the main hero in a storyline, but really he's a minor character in a main storyline, but whatever. Anyway, so the MegaZord confronts the two monsters and it gets the shit kicked out of it really quickly. It gets double teamed bad. It's getting the mace knocked into it, it's getting hit with the hammer, it's getting its shit kicked out of it really badly. And the Rangers are trying to figure out how to handle it, and things aren't looking the best for it. Meanwhile, while that is going on, we cut to World of the Coinless Kim, where she's at the MegaZord, and I love how World of the Coinless Kim talks to her MegaZord. She talks to her how like someone would talk to a car, where they call it a baby, and they talk to it like it's a real person. And she uses the Chaos Green Energy Crystal to power up the MegaZord and make it rise. But as this is going on, Matthew is watching and he's trying to text the guys saying there's an evil robot and an evil ranger, come now quickly, but the messages aren't going through. They're failing to send, probably because it's a shitty reception area where he's at. But as it rises up, he is spotted by World of the Coinless Kimberly, and this is a really cool confrontation because she says, "Relax, I'm the last person who's going to hurt you." And I think he realizes who this person is by now, and he says, "What's your real name?" And Kimberly just replies with, "I'm sorry for not telling you the truth. It was one of the greatest regrets of my life." So I wonder if he pieces everything together by now, or World of the Coinless Kimberly tells him what happens in the future and she's sorry. But this is a really good wrap up for World of the Coinless Kimberly, where she apologizes to Matthew for what happened to him in the future in a way, because she never told him anything that happened, and she kind of kept that a secret, and after everything happened he was killed off by Drakon, so this is kind of closure for her in her own way. So it's kind of a sweet moment, but Matthew kind of pieces everything what's going on right now after this moment, so we'll get to that later at the end of the issue. We then cut back to the Rangers getting the shit kicked out of them by those two monsters, and things look pretty hopeless for them. It looks like they're not going to win this battle, but then suddenly the MegaZord comes flying in, and they ask, "I thought you left World of the Coinless Kimberly," but she does reveal that she's controlling it via remote control, like she did at the start of Shattered Grid when we first saw her MegaZord. And this is where things get really cool, because the MegaZord pulls itself apart and combines with the MegaZord, forming the MegaZord, and this looks awesome. I mean, it's the MegaZord forming with the Thunder MegaZord, and it looks really amazing. This looks just so cool because it's the old MegaZord parts. You see the head of the MegaZord and the body of the White Lion Zord or White Tiger Zord, giant wings that look like a phoenix. It just looks so cool. This is just like the greatest thing. This is really drawn really well because it's combining all of these wrecked parts of the MegaZord, and it just looks so cool. And I really do hope that Hasbro puts out a toy out of this. I get the feeling we are going to get a toy out of this because we're getting like Drakon toys and Psycho Ranger Green toys. So no doubt about it, next year at Comic-Con or some big convention, we are going to get a toy of the MegaZord, and I really do hope they don't make it Comic-Con exclusive, because I would love this on my shelf. This looks so cool. Now here's where things get a bit complicated and weird. We then cut to someone training in the gym. That's someone revealed to be Tommy Oliver. And World of the Coinless Kimberly confronts him, holding a bow at him. And it's really cool because she goes, "I know I can't beat you in a fight." And she jumps up and down. It's really cool as she jumps over him because you see like how fast, I'm guessing this is how fast she's moving, because you see a few pink holograms, so I'm guessing that symbolizes that in her ranger suit she can easily outspeed a human. And this is really cool because she fires the bow at Tommy and saying, "I'm not here to kill you, I'm giving you a second chance. When the time is right, you'll understand." And this is where we have Tommy being fired by the bow. You see a giant green helmet, and along the helmet you see all these different events. You see Tommy fighting Jason with the Sword of Darkness, you see all the Rangers together, you see Tommy confronting Lord Drakon when he's morphed, you see inside the visor you see the MegaZord fighting the Dragon Zord, and you see the White Ranger below that, and then you see next to that you see Kimberly holding Tommy's lifeless body in issue 25, and I'm guessing what this did, because the arrow disappears right away after Tommy probably has those flash of events, or it's just symbolizing everything that Tommy is going to go through, or I'm guessing what this symbolizes is what World of the Coinless Kimberly just did was somehow at the end of Shattered Grid, this is what's going to revive Tommy at the end of it, or this is going to be the whatever happens to Tommy in this timeline or a certain timeline, this is what his weakness is going to be to Lord Drakon. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I'm guessing this arrow that World of the Coinless Kimberly planted in him is what is going to revive Tommy at the end of Shattered Grid. I mean, it's the only explanation or the only theory I can come up with. If you guys have a different theory or a better one than me, tell me in the comment section down below, because I'm guessing this is what's going to revive Tommy at the end of Shattered Grid. After that, we then cut back to the MegaZord making quick work of the two monsters with the Inferno Blaster, and this destroys both of those monsters, destroying them with ease. And as the monsters are destroyed, the GraveZord sort of pulls itself apart from the MegaZord and vanishes. And Billy says he's getting some weird power readings, and then on the next page we then see the World of the Coinless Kimberly teleporting to what seems to be the future, because she's confronted by Grace Sterling, and I'm guessing what happened is what happened to Drakon, where he just went a bit too far into the future or into a different timeline. And seeing how his older Grace with grey hair, I'm guessing that World of the Coinless Kimberly got pulled into the current timeline in the mainline comics, and I'm guessing this is what's going to set up Beyond the Grid, where she's going to make an appearance and she's going to form an alliance with that team of Rangers that we're getting in Beyond the Grid. I'm guessing this is the offer that she's going to make. So whatever happens, but I'm guessing that with World of the Coinless Kimberly apparently in the current timeline, she might appear in issue 30 or the finale, so we'll see what happens there, but it was very interesting to see something like that happen. After that, we then cut to Rita on the moon, where she says, "I'll finally destroy those Power Rangers," because after Shattered Grid, Rita is going to go back to being the main bad guy, which is really cool, because I love Rita in Go-Go, how she's really strategic and she knows how to plan her fights. So we'll see what happens eventually, and we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, the GraveZord is gone, Kimberly is in the future apparently, she met Grace, so who knows what's going on with that. But that was a really cool fight with the GraveZord taking on the monsters. That was really well drawn. I love the colouring, I love the inking, it looked really amazing, and I think they did a really good job on it. So with that part of the storyline wrapped up, let's get to the final 2 pages. Now on the final 2 pages we have the Rangers at the juice bar, and we have this thought bubble, or this narration bubble by World of the Coinless Kimberly, where she goes, "I'm going to have to do something I swore I would never do," and this kind of confirms that she did tell Matthew everything about the Rangers and how she became a Power Ranger and who the Power Rangers are. And Matthew confronts the others in the juice bar saying, "Guys, I know everything, I know I'm not special, and I know who the 5 of you are, and your secrets are totally safe with me." He just wants to hear it from them that they're the Power Rangers. And this is where things get really sad, because he wants them to tell them everything that's going on, and they kind of decline it by saying, like, "What are you talking about?" And Matthew's like, "Stop lying, every whole time all of you do." And he goes, "Do you have any idea how that feels?" He goes, he's saying how he cares about them and he just wants them to tell them the truth, and he won't tell them anything or anyone about their secret he promises. And he goes, "If you don't tell me anything that's going on, I'll walk out that door and you'll never hear from me ever again." So he wants someone to say something. And everyone just looks at him and doesn't say anything. Like, it looks really sad, because you see like Jason and Trini with their eyes closed, and they just have this sad look on their face. Billy looks at them very confused. Zach looks away awkwardly, and Kimberly is crying because she wants to tell him everything, but she can't, or they'll lose their powers. And Matthew just looks at them and walks out, and this is really well drawn because as he leaves the juice bar on that final panel, you see the ranger heads over the top in this black background where you see the door of him walking out, and it's like the bright light of the rangers, and Matthew is silhouetted and he's walking out looking defeated, and you can see Kimberly wanting to run towards him and tell him what's going on, but she can't because Jason has her hand on her shoulder saying that he shouldn't do that. And it's really sad because Matthew wanted the truth from them. He wanted to know everything that was going on, but they couldn't tell him. Even though he heard it from Ranger Slayer Kim, he wanted to hear it from his friends in the future. So, although this arc of Matthew thinking is special is over, and I did quite enjoy it with how silly it had gotten, it did have a payoff that was very sad, to be honest. Even though I did say it felt really rushed and they could have kept it going for like another issue or two, the payoff for this, after reviewing it and talking about it, I feel like the payoff is a really sad payoff because Matthew realized that he's not special and he's not like them, and his friends are keeping a terrible secret from him and they can't tell him anything about it. So is Matthew going to skip town and we'll never see him again? Is he going to move schools? Are we going to see him again in the comic? Because I think this talks about how Kimberly broke up with Matthew in issue 25. Probably not the entire way it went down, but I'm guessing that she broke up with him, something Power Rangers related that she couldn't tell him about the secret. So we'll see what happens, but it kind of sucks that Matthew you can't feel sorry for Matthew. I mean, I was laughing at him during Shattered Grid of how silly he was, and now, yeah, he just wants to leave. Are we going to see him again? I really do hope we see him again because Matthew was an interesting character, and I know that I'm spending a lot of time on this closing issue, but it sucks. I mean, you feel bad for the guy. And now that wraps up issue 12 of Go-Go Power Rangers and Shattered Grid in Go-Go Power Rangers in that event. Was it a good issue? Yes, and yes, I did say things felt like a bit rushed because we had stuff covered and wrapping up in one page or two. I feel like there could have been a lot more time spent on what's going on, but I understand that comic book artists have that 20 to 22 page limit, so they do have a bit of a time crunch. I understand stuff like that, and I probably understand if stuff was being written out and moved around here and there, but like, even though it felt rushed, it felt satisfying to get a conclusion in this Shattered Grid arc of Go-Go. It was a sad conclusion for Matthew and the Ranger Slayer, and we still have no idea what the Tommy thing did. I'm guessing it was some sort of revival arrow, but I guess we'll find out later down the line. But anyways, it was a fun issue, I quite enjoyed it, and we'll see where it goes in issue 30 and the finale where Shattered Grid will be wrapping up. And it's been one hell of a ride in Go-Go Power Rangers, and it's been one hell of a ride at Mighty Morphin covering it, so we'll see what happens, and yeah, I guess that's it. So I'm gonna wrap things up right now. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Have a wonderful day, and peace out, and thanks for watching.